Hello, I'm Jeff Beck, criminal mastermind and the designer of Word Domination. Over the next several minutes, I'm going to show you how you can ransack, backstab, and steal your way to victory. In Word Domination, you take on the role of a circa 1970s James Bond-style supervillain, attempting to steal priceless artifacts and landmarks from around the globe. Infinity points are awarded to the player who not only steals the most loot, but who most carefully plans when and where to perform their heist. The winner of Word Domination is often not the player with the biggest vocabulary. The strategic use of the board can give you the edge to come out on top. To set up a game of Word Domination, you first need to create the playing area. Randomly draw tiles and place them in a grid. The size of the grid depends on the number of players. For a 2-player game, create a 4x4 grid. For 3 players, create a 5x5 grid. And for a 4-player game, create a grid that is 6x5. We're set up here for a 3-player game. Each player selects a bag of colored Zeppelin tokens and a player card. Player cards are double-sided, with vicious villain powers on the back. Since this is our first time playing, we'll be using the blue side of the player card, without the villain powers. We'll cover villain powers later in this video. Next, each player draws one tile at random and places it face up in front of them on the player card. We'll call this the player's hand. Place the police token on the first space of the round tracker. Finally, select a player to go first. The player with the most diabolical stare is a great way to decide. On your turn, first place the tile from your hand face up anywhere on the outer edge of the playing area. The specific location of the tile you place is not super critical, though it does help to place it near other letters you plan on using this turn. Next, spell a word using any face-up tiles in the playing area. Place one of your Zeppelin tokens on each of the letters you use in your word. There are a few things to keep in mind when spelling your word. First, you must use the letter you just placed from your hand into the playing area. However, your word does not have to start with that letter. Second, the letters you use do not have to be adjacent. Third, you can't use the same tile more than once in your word. However, you can use multiple tiles with the same letter. For example, I could not spell creep, since there is only one E in the playing area. However, I could spell doom, because there are more than one tiles with the letter O. Fourth, you can't repeat a word spelled in a previous turn, either by you or another player. Different forms of the same word are also out. For example, if my opponent spelled take in a previous round, I could not spell taken, as that would be cheating. Finally, the word you spell must be found in the dictionary. No proper nouns, abbreviations, or acronyms. Sorry. Back to our game. It's Dr. Nix's turn. He's placing the R tile from his hand and is now spelling atrocity. The Doctor places a Zeppelin on the A, T, R, O, C, I, a second T, and Y tiles. At this point in the game, Dr. Nix has not stole anything yet. His minions, represented by the Zeppelin tokens, are merely out, canvassing the world treasures, waiting for their opportunity to strike. To conclude your turn, draw a new tile at random and place it in your hand. Play now proceeds clockwise to the next player. It's now Astra Isk's turn. Astra doesn't want Dr. Nix to steal those treasures. She wants to steal them for herself. So Astra is going to try to use some of the same letters the Doctor used in her word. Astra places the G tile from her hand and spells slaughter. She places her tokens on the S, L, A, U, G, H, T, E, and R tiles. Since Astra used the same A, T, and R tiles as the Doctor, Astra displaces Dr. Nix's Zeppelins on those tiles. They are removed from the playing area and returned to the Doctor. Better luck next time. Astra draws a new tile into her hand and play passes to Lieutenant Lynn Gwistic. Lieutenant Gwistic wants to kick both Dr. Nix and Astra Isk off as many tiles as possible. She places her end tile and spells heinous. The lieutenant places her zeppelins on the H, E, I, N, O, U, and S tiles, displacing Dr. Nix from the I and O tiles, and Asterisk from the H, E, U, and S tiles. Brutally done, Lieutenant Glistic. The lieutenant draws her new hand, and play proceeds back to Dr. Nix. After each player has had a chance to spell a word, the game round is complete. Advance the police token on the round tracker. Now we're ready for a new round to begin. Poor Dr. Nix. Nearly all of his zeppelins have been removed from the playing area. On his turn, the Doctor could seek revenge, and focus on displacing his opponents. However, he does still have zeppelins on the C, T, and Y tiles. This gives Dr. Nix an opportunity to steal those tiles. Anytime you use a letter that already has your zeppelin on it, you steal that tile for yourself. Dr. Nix is feeling especially cunning. He places his V tile and spells viciously, placing his zeppelins on the V, I, C, a second I, O, U, S, L, and Y tiles. The Doctor displaces his opponent's zeppelins. Additionally, since he already had a zeppelin on the C and Y tiles, Dr. Nix steals those tiles for himself. Stolen tiles are removed from the playing area and placed face up below your player card. Draw a new tile and place it face down to replace the stolen tile in the playing area. Place your zeppelin on the newly placed face down tile so you can claim your infinity points at the end of the game. Once a tile is stolen, it becomes your exclusive property. Only you may continue to use that tile in future turns. If you use a tile you have previously stolen, you do not move it back into the playing area, nor do you place a zeppelin on that tile. Using previously stolen tiles does not provide additional infinity points. Use them to help spell words you would otherwise be unable to spell. Though you can continue to use letters you have previously stolen, your opponents are locked out and unable to use them. If there are other tiles with the same letter, your opponents may continue to use those tiles. However, as the game progresses, things will continue to lock down. Be careful which letters you let slip from your grasp. For example, Dr. Nix just stole the C and Y tiles. There happens to be another C in the playing area, so his opponents may continue to spell words with that letter. However, that was the only Y available. If Asterisk was planning on spelling yikes, she's now out of luck. Some letters, like the V from Dr. Nix's Viciously, are more than typical tiles. They are the super mega evil arsenal. Arsenal tiles are a collection of diabolical weapons and gizmos that provide special, devious powers. Arsenal tiles work like any other tile. In addition, each time you spell a word that uses an arsenal tile, you may use its arsenal ability. While arsenal tiles don't need to be stolen in order to use their ability, stealing them is a great way to keep their power to yourself. Each arsenal tile has its own unique arsenal ability. The arsenal abilities are listed on the blue side of your player card. For example, the V arsenal is the Vapor Shock Rocket. It allows you to vaporize an opponent's zeppelin from a face-up tile you did not use in your word. Dr. Nix is especially concerned about Asterisk stealing the T tile. The Doctor uses the Vapor Shock Rocket to vaporize Astra's zeppelin from that tile. If you find a fantastic word another player can spell during their turn, you can help them out, and take a cut of the loot. When you have a word in mind, don't announce it. Instead, tell them these three things. 1. The number of letters in your word. 2. The number of tiles your word will let the other player steal. 3. Which one letter in the word you want as payment. Your word must follow the standard rules of the game. It must use the other player's tile placed from their hand. It cannot use the same tile twice. It must be in the dictionary, etc. Once an offer has been made, the active player must then choose whether to accept or reject it. If they reject your offer, politely tell them to jump off a cliff. You may try again with a new or modified offer. If they accept your offer, reveal your word. The other player must now spell your word and pay the agreed upon price. The other player places their zeppelins on all the letters of the word except the payment letter. You place your zeppelin on that letter instead. Standard rules apply to the payment letter. You may use arsenal abilities, and if the tile already has your zeppelin on it, you may steal it for yourself. At the end of 6 rounds, please finally become aware of all the mischief going on. Come in and shut things down. It's time to count up the loot and see who came out on top. You score 1 infamy point for every stolen tile with your zeppelin on it. You score an additional infamy point for every stolen tile that is part of a group of 3 or more adjacent tiles. Diagonally adjacent tiles do not count. For example, Lieutenant Linguistic will earn 2 infamy points for the 2 tiles in the top left section of the playing area. Additionally, the Lieutenant will earn another 10 infamy points for the 5 tiles in the bottom middle section of the playing area, since they form a group of 3 or more adjacent tiles. Tiles that have not been stolen are not worth points. However, they can help bridge stolen tiles to form groups. Bridge groups must still contain at least 3 stolen tiles. For example, Astra Isk will still earn 6 infamy points for the 3 tiles in the top right section of the playing area. The E tile bridges the isolated tiles into the group. At the end of the game, Dr. Nix has scored 14 infamy points, Astra Isk has scored 17 infamy points, and Lieutenant Linguistic has scored 12. Astra is the winner. When you are ready to take your game to the next level, villain powers can provide a fun new twist. To play with the villain powers, flip the player card over to the yellow side. Each villain has a unique ability and weakness. You can play with just the abilities, just the weaknesses, or, for the truly insane, mix them both in and see what monstrosity you create. Villain abilities give you the power you need to really mess with your opponents. But abilities don't come cheap. Each ability has a cost that must be paid. To use your villain ability, you must sacrifice the number of stolen tiles indicated on your player card. Those tiles return to the box and are no longer available for you to use. However, paying the cost of a villain ability does not affect your stolen tiles on the playing area and will not change your infamy points at the end of the game. For example, Count Vokemblen is ready to fire his Death Ray. He pays 6 stolen tiles from below his player card and decimates his opponents. His stolen tiles in the playing area are not affected. No villain would be complete without a vulnerability. If you are playing with player weaknesses, you should avoid stealing letters found in your weakness word. If you do steal a forbidden letter, you pay the penalty and are prevented from stealing any letters during your next turn. For example, Contraction's weakness is bubblegum. Take one look at that jaw and you'll see why. If Con steals a tile with the letters B, U, L, E, G, or M, he'll be forfeiting his ability to steal tiles on his subsequent turn. Conquering the world is no easy task. Here are a few suggestions and strategies to help you get started. Cast a wide net. The more letters you canvass this turn, the more there will be for you to steal later on. Block your rivals. Don't let your opponents get the upper hand. Keep them at bay by displacing their zeppelins whenever possible. The 5-finger discount. Take advantage of your opponent's negligence. If they failed to displace one of your zeppelins, grab the opportunity and steal the tile it's on. Build your empire. Remember that adjacent tiles in groups of 3 or more are worth double. Almost as good as a steal one, get one free sale. When forming your word, focus on letters in one region of the playing area. Finally, use the arsenal. We spared no expense to provide you access to the super mega evil arsenal letters. Don't let them go to waste. I hope you enjoy playing Word Domination and proving to your friends once and for all that you are the most devious mastermind of the group.